And I quote, "I'll be there in a minute. Give me a second."
Time is relative, folks. Time is relative.
Yes. So, hey, cheers to everybody in the chat. They're a division rival. I don't care how many wins they get. Screw them.
That wasn't the take I was expecting to hear.
I want to gush over watching live Chris Tanev.
I think that we completely underestimate the skill it takes to play defense.
One highlight or several highlights does not a Calder trophy make.
I'm stepping in here. I'm going to be the crotchety old man here. They need to learn patience. They need to understand the tension, everything, and the drama.
How dare! Look at this. How is McDavid not getting a penalty?
You guys need to calm down with this, okay? You guys need to calm down.
Oh, Tyler, we're in for a week of even blatantly yelling coming to the internet. But welcome to the Shifts and Pucks podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at Shifts and Pucks, Facebook.com Shifts and Pucks, YouTube.com Shifts and Pucks, and subscribe wherever you get your audio. And I guess I have to start here. I've been going through some stuff in my life, and I unfortunately did not realize that there's been a few podcasts the last couple of months that did not get published on Apple or Spotify. And I am working on that, and I sincerely apologize for that. Just completely missed it and working on that. And unfortunately, this means, and please don't take this the wrong way with the Hockey Podcast Network, but unfortunately, that ended our relationship with the Hockey Podcast Network. So it was a bit of a tough week for me, but we plow on, and we'll get everything back together. We say hello to, as mentioned, Tyler. Hello, Tyler. How are you?
Morning, guys. I'm all right. I have to say it's nice to come on after a Canucks win.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
It's been a hell of a long time. Holy smokes. That was a pretty it was a gutsy win too. Like it was a shootout. It's a gutsy win. It's nice. It's nice to celebrate a victory for the Canucks. They've been rare and few this year, and we will get into that. Sean, we have to go to the land of what I've understood is now fifth winter. Hello, Sean. How are you?
Yeah, we went from nice spring day yesterday to snow again today. Like, I'm done with this. I want spring.
I, for once, am not the one that's suffering. I was out riding my motorcycle yesterday.
Oh, we were out having a nice day. It was beautiful. And now we got snow, a little bit of snow today. It's supposed to be rainy and maybe thunder showers tomorrow, and then back up to the teens on Tuesday. I think. Like, it's just the Jekyll Hyde bipolar Calgary shoulder spring 8 times season this year has been kind of annoying.
Yeah. And out here we've got clouds. We're expecting some rain later. We've had some sun for a couple of days, but it's been mostly rainy right now. It's raining outside my window right now. So yeah, we are, thank God, in a lot of ways, but near the end of the regular season for the Vancouver Canucks. 3 more games, which includes Sunday in Anaheim, and then Tuesday against LA, and then a game that may end up with a lot of significance on Thursday in Edmonton. But let's look back on the week that was, and we had a loss to the Golden Knights at home 2-1, a loss to the Kings in Los Angeles 4-0. Before we do this, I forgot a couple of things I wanted to just touch on here. Congratulations, and Tyler, you never had a chance to give your comments on this, but congratulations to Scott Oak, who did leave on Scott Oak's terms. I really hope you get a chance to see that final after hours with Scott Oak, with Ryan Reeves, very close friend to the family, and his son Darcy Oak did a really nice job paying tribute to Scott, and Scott had some fun with it as well.
Yeah. See, he's still going to be doing some amount of the Stanley Cup playoffs. I don't know if he'll be doing the full run. Hasn't done the final in a few years, but that was the last after hours last night, and I did watch. It was great. You knew it was going to be some fun with Ryan Reeves involved in the history between the Oak family and Ryan and his family. Some great tributes came in. Yeah, Scott's a great story. The way he conducts himself, just very low key, very classy, very self-deprecating. The dry wit. As a Canuck fan, I think some of his best after-hours work involved Canucks guests. If you think back to the times that Kevin Bieksa was on, or Roberto Luongo in those days, it was.
Oh, with a little bit of Yannick Hansen.
It was appointment viewing, and getting a chance to know the players a little bit, and then in a longer form interview was kind of it was a bit groundbreaking at the time. There's more of that now in this podcast world that we live in, but Hockey Night won't be the same without Scott Oak. I mean, the Hockey Night in Canada I've watched ever since I can remember has involved him, so it's going to be quite the void with him not there anymore.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be very different.
And I think 2 years in the business, like 40 at CBC or something like that. Like he's just an outstanding career. And as you mentioned, him being able to go out on his own terms is nice to see, because there hasn't been a lot of that in this industry lately.
No, it has not.
Yeah.
Also, just wanted to just give a quick all the best to Jared Bednar. Unfortunately, will miss the rest of the regular season. He took a puck in the face last night.
Oh, no.
And he's going to miss the rest of the regular season. He did suffer some injuries. He's, I guess, he's fine in terms of his mental capacity is fine, but he's got some. Let me just make sure I have this right.
Facial fractures and a corneal abrasion after being hit by a puck.
Yeah,
on the bench last night.
Will
not require surgery.
Yeah, so just all the best for that. Anyway, back to the Canucks. Lost 2-1 to the Vegas Golden Knights. Lost 2-1 to the Kings, but they did beat and probably ultimately played a little spoiler to the San Jose Sharks with their shootout win last night, which was a 4-3 come from behind shootout win. Last minute, get it into overtime. Any takeaways from this week?
Well, that win over the Sharks, shootout, but does help them in terms of they actually have the Sharks' second-round pick this year, so that could help them draft a spot or two higher in the second round. For those who are hyper fixated on where the Canucks draft, and then it's so tough this time of year for the players, the fans, and everyone, just because the season's over, but it's not over. Like the Canucks clinched last place in the league last week, and so there's not. I guess the good part about that is you can actually cheer for the Canucks to actually win games now if you're part of Team Tank, because it doesn't actually hurt them.
Yeah, we've reached that point. I just like to you used the word gutsy, Kevin. It was a scrappy effort last night to not give up on the game, and that was nice to see. I think that's all that there is really left to be watching for is what kind of professionalism and fight for everybody their spot in the league in some cases. Just that level of desire here going down the stretch and not rolling over and dying. That was encouraging to see last night that they were able to pull that out.
Yeah. Yeah. So, they wrap up the week and can play a lot of ways. Can play spoiler with three teams that have either division or playoff aspirations at hand here. One in particular, the Ducks, are they're kind of flopping. Is that the best way to call Ducks? Do Ducks flop? Sorry, Dylan. Some news for the week. Congratulations to Kevin Lankinen. He's had a very tough year, but he was the Bill Masterton nominee for the Vancouver Canucks. Everybody who's listened to this podcast knows how I feel about this Masterton Award. It should not be, it should just be end here and we move on, but we continue. But Kevin Lankinen is the Masterton nominee. tough year for him on and off the ice, where he was dealing with some personal issues. Probably played a lot more than he was expecting coming into the year. Does anyone have anything to add on this one?
Finally, his streak of shootout attempts saved ended last night. He still got the win, but I think he had something like 22 shootout attempts in a row. So
19 in a row, I think.
What? I mean, we're reaching for positives here, but yeah, once they got to the shootout, I was feeling pretty good with Kevin Lankinen in the net.
Yeah,
that's something to hang your hat on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
It's
He definitely, the workload and the role changed with the Thatcher Demko injury, and it was didn't have much helping him out in front of him either. So it's kind of a tough gig to be a Canucks goalie this year, but he handled it very professionally.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, as you said, yeah, it's been a tough year for a lot of the Canucks, and Lankinen as well, and he's been the ultimate pro this year, I think, and that's there in the award that it always becomes like which trial and tribulation was worse or better, or however you want to describe it. It's always a tough one, but yeah, he definitely deserves a nod for being having the perseverance to get through this season.
And Brock Besser was the Canucks King Clancy nominee for leadership on and off the ice. I actually think that Brock Besser's had overall. I think that there's a case that could make that Brock Besser's could be the team MVP. I said could be. I think it's probably somebody else. But of all the Canucks within the last couple of years with this dark, pardon my French, this dark shit that the Canucks have been through, I do think that the fans and Brock Besser still have a pretty good relationship. And I don't know if he's captain material, guys, but I do think that he is a guy that I think the Canuck fans can hang their hat on. And I think this is, quite frankly, a well-deserved award. I think he has shown some leadership. It's not explosive. It's not it's not bang your table leadership, but I think he's shown a lot of class and dignity in a time that we haven't seen a lot of it around here.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kevin. As far as him being captain material, I mean, they're going through a period of transition here. I mean, I know maybe it's a little early to have the discussion for next year, but I wouldn't be opposed to him. I mean, in terms of being the longest tenured player, there's that reason for it. And I don't selling it with the fans, if that's even necessary to sell it with the fans, I don't think that's going to be an issue. I mean, he's very well regarded just all around the team and the fan base. He's earned it.
He has earned he has earned the nominee. He has earned the respect of the fans, the media, and everything. And in terms of the captaincy debate, I think it's too early, and I think it's something that needs to be taken time, and they need to find a way to groom the next person properly, the way they did with Bo Horvat, the way they started, like, I don't know if they necessarily did with Henrik Sedin, but it kind of just happened. And maybe that's the argument for Brock Besser here. But I think it's something that needs to be a lot of what has to happen this summer, this offseason for the Canucks, going into next season, needs to be done thoughtfully, carefully, and right. They can't. This is a very, very important offseason for the Canucks, and from whether it's deciding what to do with the captaincy, as well as other decisions, it needs to be well thought out. Yeah, and he's definitely in the mix for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And probably, yeah, one guy that I think if there's a guy long term, if there's a guy that has a chance to get some sort of retirement accolades, I think Brock Besser out of everybody has the best chance for that to happen, other than of some of the other names that we have been discussing. And we did have a pretty lengthy discussion last week about leadership and what happened here before. And you can listen to what our thoughts are on the Quinn Hughes leadership era that happened last week. As Sean mentioned, there is a number of things as we head into the final week of the regular season, and it's an important off season. And there's been a lot of writing and speculation from Canucks media to outside media to fan bases to all of this about what the Canucks are going to do next, which has caused a lot of conversation on social media. But one of the topics that came up this week, before we get to the future of management and coaching, was this concept around the idea of age gap trades. Thomas Drance wrote in The Athletic this week that they essentially, I want to say that what he wrote and kind of the conversation around it are the reaction to what was written and the conversation around this particular topic were much different and more nuanced verbally than it was written wise. Is essentially that the idea is that the Canucks will explore trades. Like, as an example, this, of course, the one that hurts everybody a little bit is the Emerson Edom trade. Of course, that was one that did not work out. That was an age gap reclamation project trade that a lot of Canuck fans get really angry about. There's probably a few others, but this topic came up again. Maybe I'll give Sean the floor on this one, kind of get his thoughts on this. First of all, where are you on this conversation?
First off, I think the term age gap trade when you're in a full rebuild is completely wrong and flawed, because I think when you are rebuilding, you should be willing to look at every avenue to acquire young players, whether you're drafting them, whether you're using the trade route, whether it's with trading sort of older players to get younger players, or it's trading future draft picks for players in probably the 20 to 23-year-old range. There's nothing wrong with that. Saying that there's something wrong with that is because all you want is draft picks. If you say that if you say that to the Canucks aren't serious about a rebuild because they're looking into acquiring younger players instead of using draft picks that are potentially they're not going to use until 27 or 28 or even beyond, I think you've lost the plot, honestly. And the best rebuild teams that have rebuilt have been able to mesh all the avenues together and find players in all those avenues. It's not just about drafting, it's about free agents, it's about trades, it's about the NCAA route as well. And you cannot shut the door on it just because of armchair mythical idea of what a ideal rebuild looks like.
Yeah.
So I think that if they were in the retool stage, then you're then yes, I think those can be considered shortcuts, and they're also risky because it's so easy for the fan base and the media to criticize them if they don't work out, because you can point at, usually in every second, third, fourth, fifth round, there's a handful of players there that you can look at and go that we could have had this guy, right? And it's just, so it is another avenue to acquire talent, but the idea of what players you're looking at needs to be unique. It can't be everything has to line up properly. I think it's something that they need to look into, but it's not something that should be high up on the list of what they should be doing. And Ted, when you talked about the Emerson Edom trade, it was Nick Jensen and a 6th-round pick for him. I think the biggest one that gets thrown back in terms of these trading draft picks for sort of the young 20s players is the Sven Berchi trade. That was Sven Berchi to the from the Flames for a 2nd-round pick that turned into Rasmus Anderson.
Yeah,
And that's the danger of these trades is you can have good solid players come out of that 2nd round. So if the Canucks are looking at and I hate to say reclamation project because a lot of these players are in the early 20s are still developing. The idea that once you've hit your early 20s, you're old as a prospect is just, I think it's also flawed.
yeah, that's the part I have with the whole.
Yeah, that's
Just love that approach.
So I think it's the Canucks need to find a way to, just be open-minded to all avenues to acquire young players and young assets, because if you just rely on draft picks, it's not going to be good enough. You look at the teams that have done that, and they rarely get out of this rebuild phase. And maybe you say they need to wait a couple years to do it. Okay, I can listen to that a little bit more. But to say that the Canucks aren't serious about a rebuild if they're willing to listen about acquiring young players in the 20 to 23-year-old range for draft picks is just flat out wrong.
There's so much. The rebuild is so vast in scope in terms of the number of bodies they've got to reconstruct with this roster. You just can't do it all through the draft solely, like you've said, and you can go fully in you can go just completely draft route too. But if you're not scouting properly and doing good talent evaluation, that's gonna end up flopping too. I think it's less to do with whether you keep draft picks or try to take on early 20s guys that haven't worked out somewhere else. You still have to have an eye for talent, and if they can get that part right, then things will turn around. That's been more the issue when they've made these deals, is that they just haven't assessed the pros and cons very well.
Yeah, and as I said, if you're giving up a 2nd-round pick, it's got to be for someone who's going to be part of the team starting now.
Yeah.
And going through at least 5-10 years, unless they're being moved in a bigger deal that helps them. They're when you make this deal, if they make a trade for a young player with using a draft pick, that player's value needs to go up, and that is the why people are so wary about them. But it comes down to talent evaluation and talent development more than it does about the acquisition. In my opinion, acquisition price is important, but if you ID a player and you develop them properly, then the price becomes a little bit less of an issue. So looks like Kevin might be having a little bit of technical difficulties.
Okay, his computer's apparently.
Which sucks, because I was really hoping to get him before we end up moving on to, because when I talk about development and all that, that comes down to coaching, right?
I know it's too much of an ask to get people to just have a little patience, because fans have been waiting for forever, frankly, with the Canucks. But once we get to the draft lottery and we know what the draft lottery outcome is and whether they're picking McKenna or they're going to be picking somebody else, then we can really, I think, get into the weeds a little more about what the right approach should be. They got to make some choices as to who the people making those choices are going to be. What's the future for Patrick Alvin? I know we got on our list here plans to talk about coaching. There's a whole lot of stuff that has to happen before we start making big declarations as to whether the organization is taking the right approach or not.
Yes. I think that in the short term that we've seen of what the Canucks have done with this rebuild, I think they've made the right moves, but it's still very early on.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know
they
how
need
much
to.
wheeling and dealing do they want to do to try to get certain players, or do they want to just in terms of quantity just keep picks and pick players and try to restock the shelves and then go from there? I mean, there's arguments for both of those.
I think the other thing you have to look at is like when you look at the Flames, because that seems to be the big comparison right now with the Canucks and their rebuild is the Flames, which started a season. It's been about a season and a half ahead of the Canucks. Their rebuild started in the when they traded Zadorov and Lindholm to the Canucks, actually, and they've gotten a coach in there that seems to be able to calm the waters and help develop these players. And I think that's something that the Canucks need to be looking at here. Is what they need to be looking at the right D word to be looking at is not draft, it's develop.
Yeah.
Back.
I'm back. Sorry about that. Just got a computer crash there for a moment. Can I just bring up a name just back to the reclamation project a moment here that people forget? Sam Bennett. Sam Bennett was traded to the Florida Panthers at the time that the Panthers were not in a competitive window. And Sam Bennett ended up having a Conn Smythe trophy behind him and a gold medal on his neck, by the way, as well. These things, I understand that you kind of are looking at some of these things and people are like, well, they don't really work because of perception. But one person that I would recommend that you listen to on this is Sat Shaw, who talked about, and Bick, who talked about this on 650 a couple of days ago. Every rebuilding team has done this kind of trade. As a matter of fact, one that worked out this year is Pittsburgh with Igor Chinnikov, who went from Columbus to Pittsburgh. And I think that we all thought that Pittsburgh was in a rebuild this year, and they are now not, or they're in the playoffs. So I don't know where we put them in terms of the category, but every team does it. Even the Flames, you can argue a little bit, a reclamation project and acquiring a guy like Brennan Othman, a low risk move. And this was not like with Patrick O'Brien, we'll talk about him in a little bit. I don't think that this is the thing that was the biggest criticism that I would have of Canucks management. The two reclamation projects were very low risk trades in Kraftstoff and which was not part of the JT Miller trade. That was a separate trade. And Lucas Reichel, which, yeah, that didn't work out. They ended up having to give up on him quick. That's fine. But that was they gave up a 4th round pick in 2028, I believe, for Lucas Reichel. So they didn't give up a pick this year. So I don't think that this has been as dastardly as a thing to criticize the Canucks as it's been perceived. And I don't think I agree. I think you have to look at all avenues to develop and develop players. You can't just focus on draft. You have to develop. You have to take it to the next step.
Yeah, the Sam Bennett trade, Kev, is interesting. Sorry, Tyler, is interesting because it was a 2022 second round pick and an Emil Heineman. And Emil Heineman, when he came to the Flames, didn't really do anything, and I think they swapped him. They traded him to the Habs as part of
Tyler Toffoli trade.
Yes. And he had 2 seasons. He had basically one season with the Habs after breaking out from the AHL, where he put up 10 goals and 18 points. And then this year, got moved to the Islanders. This year he's got 22 goals.
It was in the
right?
and he was in the Olympic conversation for Sweden.
Yeah, so it's interesting, but yeah, but I still think it worked out. It worked out for Florida getting Sam Bennett, right? Despite giving up Emil Heineman and a 2nd round pick.
Fair. Yeah, so I just think you explore all options. I don't think that you can be so rigid as to say that we can't trade a 2028 first round or draft pick with like. I just think that's too rigid. And I'm sorry, I just got to say this. You wouldn't consider acquiring Shane Wright at 22 years old? Really?
Well, is it age or is it just some other issue with Shane Wright that would make that objectionable?
And I
I
think
don't
the
think
issue is,
it-
again, people are so rigid into this idea that you don't make these trades, right? And I think that's the part of it. If there's another issue, if there's actually an issue with Shane Wright that then fine, but that's not the issue that people were saying about, right? It's you have to the identification needs to be on point, and the development needs to be on point if you're gonna make these trades, and they can work.
Yeah.
And if you want to tell me that you don't think that the management team can do that based off of their record, I'll listen a little bit more than just to say blatantly you don't make these trades, and the rebuild's not serious if you make these trades.
Yeah. All right, let's get to that part of the conversation. I think this is the part that everybody is kind of on the question about, and we're going to go backwards. We're going to start with the coach, then we're going to go with the GM, and then we're going to handle the president. First of all, we'll start with Adam Foote. And I want to take a little bit of a different turn on this than let's just make this plain and simple yes, or let's make it simple. Do you have them back? Because I think one thing that has to be put into this conversation is if you fire all three of these people, and it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility, this isn't a 11, whether you like Francisco Aquilini or not, ownership is going to need to have to pay for them because they're all under contract. And it is about, according to Rick Dollywall, it's about $11 million. So I think that there may be some other ways that we can look at this and see what we can do. Let's start with Foote. Does anyone expect him back, first of all?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
I'm on the fence on that one. I think right now it's a coin toss for me. As we talked about, like, the Canucks need to be looking at development, and I don't know if I'm sold on Foote as a development coach, and I'm not sold on that the team is sold on him as being a development coach. The other issue there is that you've got someone in Abbotsford who is considered one of the best coaching prospects in the league, and someone who is considered a good development coach in Manny Malhotra. And I think that you have to look at it that way. Like, if it was up to me, I wouldn't bring Foote back. I think the other issue is I think you need to separate everyone from that toxic locker room issue that they went through. And like anyone who was involved has to go to move on and start building up the future of this team. So I think if it was up to me, I wouldn't bring him back. But I think it's probably a coin toss whether or not he's back or not.
If I had the choice, I wouldn't bring him back either. Basically, for all the reasons Sean just outlined, the contract status. He signed a 3-year deal. It's been reported that so this season was the first. So with 2 more years left, I suspect the organization's going to want to start next season with him, but the leash could be short. If things are not moving in a positive fashion in terms of the development part, you might see a change early in the season. That'd be my prediction on it.
Okay, let me toss a couple of different scenarios that hasn't been talked about, but I'll ask him anyway. Is there a realm of possibility, if you keep Adam Foote, that you bring in not a big name veteran NHL coach, but a veteran NHL coach that can help him in some way? And I've tossed the name in the agenda of Brad Larson. I'm not necessarily saying it's him, but that's the example that I'm thinking of. He has some head coaching experience, not a lot of it, but he has a lot of NHL experience that could help behind the bench. Do you think that is a possibility?
I think if you're doing that, you're basically putting the writing on the wall that Adam Foote's not long for that position, even going in halfway through next season.
Fair. Tyler?
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement with that. So what happens with Malhotra, I guess, is the thing. You know, are they feeling like the time is now to do the promotion, or he maybe jumps to another organization? Like that's the tipping point that we're at here. They don't want to lose what they have there. They might have to make a change sooner than they'd prefer, just on the basis of not wasting the opportunity with Manny.
Yeah, I guess my other counter to that, I'm not saying that Malhotra is not a right guy for the job, but I also am a little concerned. I do think that some due diligence needs to be done here in terms of some other head coaching prospects. And the other scenario that I would ask, is there an assistant coach that you think could be? Now, I know that this is kind of a flawed question because Foote took over for Tocchet, and we're not seeing this work out. But is there an assistant coach that you could bring in from this staff that you would consider as head coach material?
No,
not in this one. No, not the like. I'm looking them up because I can't remember exactly who they are. Just full transparency, but that says everything already to me.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any. The internal candidate is Manny Malhotra.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Then you need to look at after that. You do need to take a look. Yeah, you've got Kevin Dean, Brett McLean, Scott Young. Yeah, no, I don't think there's anyone there that it is. I think you do need to look at Manny. You need to look at some other coaching prospects outside of the organization, but they're high on Manny, and so is our other people in the NHL. I have a hard time believing that where this Canucks team is now and where they want to go, that Manny isn't, if not the top prospect that they're looking at. If they replace it, if they get rid of Adam Foote, he's right there.
Yeah. There, I just wanted to bring up some different perspectives on that. I haven't been talking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Patrick Allvin. I'm doubtful he's back. It feels. I mean, there have been some reports that he's telling people he's not coming back. He doesn't think he's coming back, according to.
That's
how trustworthy are those reports and everything, right?
Yeah.
There's just so much noise, and where did this noise come from? How accurate is it? I think we have to. People are so ravenous for some change in this market. What I think is, I've heard this banty around that I think this is probably what's going to happen, is that you keep Rutherford, Allvin moves up into like a VP role, and then the GM is actually Ryan Johnson, and it becomes something like that. Just based off of what I've heard about how well Allvin is still thought of in terms of talent identification and everything, I wouldn't be surprised that we see something like that happen if they move off of Allvin.
I mean, to me, it's just kind of, it's really just titles when it comes to this situation. That's running the show, right? We all know that.
I mean, we keep hearing like bits and pieces about that, whether it's like, oh, it's Rutherford's show or Allvin made this move and all that. It's basically a team effort, right?
Yeah.
So, but I think it's also like, I think part of it is that, again, Ryan Johnson's started to become well thought of, and I think that's one way to keep. And I know like everyone's going to yell and scream about, well, that this management team has failed. I mean, yes, they failed at building a winner with the core that they had, but they're now in a different direction, and I think they deserve, in my opinion, if they were going to make that move, they would have made it when they decided to rebuild. Like they announced that they were rebuilding, they would have made that move, like, and moved off of Alvin. They wouldn't have allowed him him and this management team to run that trade deadline, right? And now they go on there. So I think like I wouldn't be surprised if they move on from Alvin, but I think that I see him at least staying within the organization if they do.
Yeah.
I think for me, I think if he's not the GM, I think he's going elsewhere. Yeah, I'm not necessarily buying into the reports, but I think ultimately for me, I want to say what I think the challenge that Alvin had two challenges in this job, and one was the market, and the other one was managing up. And I don't know if this dynamic with Rutherford and Alvin necessarily worked. It just
what didn't work about it, Kev?
I think at times Rutherford was stepping on Alvin's toes, and I think that Rutherford was a bit more. I think Rutherford at times has been too visible, where Alvin has not been visible, and everybody has just talked about what Jim Rutherford runs the team. Jim Rutherford, and although that's factual, I think that really kind of degraded, or not, I wouldn't want to say a wrong word. I think it kind of put Patrick Alvin to the back seat a little bit. And I think it might have been tougher for him to manage than it should have been.
And if they get rid of Alvin, does this change?
Well, here's my other theory I'll toss out. Rutherford takes the GM role. They groom Ryan Johnson for a year or two, and then they give him the job. They do
and then we're just to quote what Tyler said with what I put out there. We're just dealing with those titles, those names. That's all they are.
But
right,
Rutherford ends his contract. He rides off into the sunset, and Ryan Johnson takes over the team. So you don't see any Rutherford anymore. It's basically what Doug Armstrong did in St. Louis.
And how much, other than Alvin not being in the picture, is that much different than what I said? Keeping and just having Johnson as the GM and Rutherford as the president.
No, but again, Rutherford's gone when Ryan Johnson's the GM. So Rutherford would officially be the GM. He would be grooming Ryan Johnson for a year or two.
Yeah, you're not. I think. I understand what you're saying, Kevin. But is that any different? Especially with how you said that how things run in this front office, where it doesn't matter what the titles are. Rutherford president, Ryan Johnson GM going into next year. How is that different than just having Rutherford have the GM role?
No, I'm saying Rutherford is officially both president and GM, and then they groom Ryan Johnson for the season. So he doesn't take over next year. He takes over the year after that.
I suppose that's a possibility, because I agree that Rutherford's time is coming to an end here in the near future, next season or two. But I don't think there's going to be much of a grooming process if they're going to pick a new GM. It's just the guy is going to be handed the keys.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm trying to get at, Kevin. I understand exactly what you're saying. But I don't see the idea. I don't see the point of doing that, because like if Rutherford's running things already, like there's no point of him taking the GM role, especially if you're going to try. The whole point is to try and groom Ryan Johnson. Just give him the GM role. If you're saying that Rutherford's basically running the show as the president, and the GM is basically sort of the day-to-day guy, working the phones and all that, but Rutherford's the big picture guy. There's no point. Just give Ryan Johnson the GM role if you're going to do it that way. Right now, just do it now.
Yeah.
If that's the case, because it's not going to change in terms of how if everything's running the way you and others are saying, where it's the Jim Rutherford show, regardless of what the title is. There's no point mishmashing all these titles. Just give him the GM role right off the bat, and have him work into it, and have his responsibility grow, but his title stay the same.
Now, here's
It's
the other
also
thing
that
too:
just-
is like in terms of selling this approach and rebuild to the fan base. I mean, the idea of blowing up the team and now groom somebody to take over, reconstructing it. I mean, that's going to go over like a lead balloon. They need to be pretty declarative about, okay, this is our guy that we are trusting to rebuild this thing going forward, and give them, you know, the full backing, as opposed to some kind of a grooming approach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand. I think that the one thing that everybody is missing in here is this is going to be a significant cost to ownership. I don't think that they want to spend $11 million on paying for 3 people when they already went through this with Jim Benning and Travis Green and people as well. So look, of all the people I'm most critical of, I think it is Rutherford. I don't think he's done that good of a job overall, especially with the expectations that were put forth and the resume that has been here. I don't think he's done that good of a job, but I think he's also the most likely that he's coming back. So, which we'll deal with next week, but that's kind of where I'm at. I don't think all 3 I don't think that they're completely cleaning house. That's just my prediction. I think that some fans are going to be really disappointed when at least one of the 3 are coming back.
Everything that we have heard in terms of, like, we haven't really heard much on the foot. There's just been some speculation. The Alvin's been sort of hit and miss. Like, he's gone, he's staying, he's gone, he's staying. It's been a consistent message that they think that Rutherford's coming back. Yeah. So I think he's staying. I don't think it's up to him more than anything else, I think. Because I think he doesn't want to leave the Canucks in shambles the way they are as his legacy with the Canucks. I think he wants to at least have some sort of good hope coming out of a season when he leaves. Yeah. And then I think it's a toss up. I think they move on from Foote or Alvin if financially, if it's a financial issue, I think they move on from one of them. Which is why I think if they move on from Foote, which I think is the right move, because I think development is the key here, and you're gonna have Coots come up into the fold next year. You need Lekharameki to take a step next year. You need these Willander and William to take steps next year. Let alone if they get a top 2 pick and they've got Stenberg or McKenna coming in, those guys you need to have a coach who can help develop those guys properly. One of those guys properly. So I think for me, the right move is to move on from Foote and get someone who you can trust to be a player's development coach. And then if you still need to sort of move deck chairs around to try and sell something, you move Alvin into a vice president role. Maybe he's being groomed to be president of hockey ops, and then you have Brian Johnson as GM.
There you go. Yep.
One more. I'll just toss these scenarios out. Is there any, just because we're on here, is there any interest in bringing back Mike Gillis or Trevor Linden?
I can't see either of them wanting to come back.
No, that's the thing. I don't see either of them wanting to come back. Yeah.
Whatever the merits are, I think the reconstructing those burnt bridges seems pretty unlikely to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can find a way to do it, may not be this year, but if you can find a way to do it, and that's the heir apparent to, and one of them's the heir apparent to Rutherford as president, I think the fan base would be receptive to it. The market would be receptive to it. But
I agree. The market would be receptive for sure. Just unless ownership changes, I that dynamic seems I don't know how that gets
Yeah,
reconciled.
I agree with that too. Yeah.
Yeah, especially with Linden. I can't see that happening, but I just thought I would put that out there.
Yeah.
Anything else on this particular topic that we did I missed?
I don't think so. I guess one last word on Foot is just in terms of moving forward here after a season like this one where they finished in last place by a mile. Just a new voice is going to be necessary, even just on that basic level. I think something fresh to come in for next season.
Yeah. Also, I think as I talked about with the development being such a big thing with this Canucks team franchise going forwards, regardless of what happens, they should be looking at AHL coaches right now, because I wouldn't be surprised if they don't make the move for Malhotra, someone else does. So they need to be looking at the someone to take over Abbotsford, whether or not they move Malhotra up or he gets someone, or he takes another job in the NHL, because I think he's close enough that someone will take a shot at him.
Yeah. I just think that I understand that they've got the two heir apparents in place here with Ryan Johnson and Manny Malhotra. I get it. I think that they have to do, I agree with you, Sean, due diligence has to happen at all levels. They need, and I'm sure that they do. I'm not saying that they don't, but I think when Rutherford was on 100% hockey, not the recent one, but I think he was on before. And I think he talked about that there's a list and they always update the list. I'm assuming I think they do the due diligence and they don't do, these are the two guys, we know it. They should explore what's out there just in case. And they at least know.
And then the other thing that could throw a wrench into things, or I don't know if wrench is the right term or whatever, like if they get the third pick, I know that the two big names are Chase Reed and Keaton Verhoff, but Manny Malhotra's son, Caleb, is also right, maybe not there on a lot of the public lists. He's probably fifth, but he's close enough that you could see someone, and he's a center, right? That could be someone. The Canucks could jump up and grab him. Then they had Alvin and others out scouting him earlier this week. So, which is just them doing due diligence again, right? Just in case they get third and they trade down, which could be another option here. But that I don't know if that's the right. If you want to have Manny and Caleb in the same organization like that, or what? But that's another sort of twist. That's the best way to put it. Twist in what happens here.
Yeah. We'll cross that. Let's cross that bridge, though, in terms of an expansive conversation when we get there. Let's. I'll leave this the last topic here with kind of up to you guys. I have three in place. Do we want to talk about the other moves that happened this week in terms of GMs, including the Fitzgerald and Francis, the playoff race, or who should win the Norris?
Let's do playoff race. Like, we got less than a week left in the regular season. Still lots up for grabs, Kev.
Yeah, there is. There's one that is set, and that is Minnesota and Dallas. But we don't know who has home ice advantage. We do know Colorado won the President's Trophy, and they will face wild card 2. We do know that Utah will face the winner of the tortoise race that is the Pacific Division right now, where nobody wants to win it, that one. And then we have the possibility in the Eastern Conference of either A, Boston, Buffalo, or B, Montreal and Boston is a distinct possibility in the first round of the playoffs, and there is quite likely the possibility that we're going to have the Battle of Pennsylvania, which is Philadelphia and Pittsburgh in the first round of the playoffs. So, but there's still a lot to decide here.
And I don't think Utah's locked into playing the winner of the Pacific either. They need like one or they're 3 points up on the Kings.
Yeah.
And if the Kings win out, then the Kings win out and Utah loses out, Kings finish ahead.
Okay, fair enough. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we've got in the Pacific Vegas 91, Edmonton 90, Anaheim 89, and the Kings are still in that battle as well at 87. So we could get another Kings Oilers battle again. I think the Sharks are kind of out of this, so it's down to those four. In terms of the last wild card race, I feel like this is Utah, LA, and Nashville. I think Winnipeg is too far back to get into this.
Yeah.
And then in the East, by the way, what an unbelievable monumental collapse by the the Detroit Red Wings, who were in first place in January in the East, in the Atlantic Division at least. And they were officially eliminated yesterday with their loss to New Jersey. The Islanders are hitting
booed off the ice too. Just yikes.
Yeah. Wow. And they now have the longest playoff drought in NHL in the NHL 10 years.
Isn't that amazing? Like, just like we're all of a certain vintage where we remember still very well how dominant the Detroit Red Wings are, and now we're talking about them having the longest playoff drought. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Maybe they should have kept Phil Vronick.
I think when you have this kind of collapse, it's more than just one move. That was an issue, but
totally
yes.
I say that in jest, but it's
Yeah,
they went from basically, I think, the longest playoff streak, making the playoff streak in NHL from 1990-91 to 2015-16 to now, not having made the playoffs since.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess who do you have winning the let's go to our close neighbors. Who wins the Pacific?
I mean, didn't Artemis 2 win it? They had made more of a splash in the Pacific than the rest of the division.
How long did you work on that one?
That was it.
Well, right now, Vegas is in the driver's seat right now with 91 points with 2 games left. But if Anaheim can win versus the Canucks tonight, that'll go a long way. I think I don't even know their schedules yet, but off the top of my head, but it's anyone's game. Just you win. I think if Vegas wins one of their remaining 2 games, they should find a way in.
Yep.
Who gets that last spot? The Kings or the Predators? Whether the Kings end up in wild card 1 or not, it's down to those 2.
Oh boy.
Talk about a turtle race.
Yeah. I think the Kings, with the game in hand and already a point ahead, it's very possible for Nashville, but they almost have to win their last 2 games here.
Nashville has to win out to get in, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think the Kings kind of put themselves in the driver's seat with the win against Nashville earlier this week. And then in the East, it's down to Philadelphia and Columbus. I guess with the Atlantic, you've got it's Ottawa and Boston are kind of essentially battling for wild card 1, wild card 2 now. Philly and Columbus, it comes down to really for the 3rd spot in the Metropolitan.
Yeah, I mean, Washington and the Islanders are right there too, but they need a lot to go right.
Oh yeah,
steal the spot.
I think I think again Columbus has to win out. They're 2 points back. Columbus has to win out, so I think it's unfortunately, because I want to see Philadelphia miss it just 'cause my Tocchet grudge is still
Oh,
quite big.
where's the P, Petty?
Mr. Meat Pressure.
But-
Depression.
I mean that, and like the whole Columbus situation is a bit more better, easier to cheer for me. So, but I do think that they're in tough. They're going to have to win out. And they've got their next game is against Boston, which will be tough. And then they've got Boston and Washington. So we got 2 tough games to finish off the season. And Washington could still be
Washington's
desperately hanging on too.
Yeah, I forgot about them. Okay, I mean, I just looked at the 91. I see that eve with Detroit, and I'm like, the people around them should be out too. But I guess it's just because Detroit can't get through the Atlantic, and so that's the complexity of that.
Yeah. Speaking of Washington, I just want to comment before we sign off here. If this is the end for Alexander Ovechkin, oh boy, that's gonna be some tough news to absorb. And it kind of seems like that might be coming with the Penguins giving him a tribute there yesterday, and ESPN ran a special with Ovechkin and some young fans he'd connected with in the past. It was quite touching. You should look it up. Ovi has said that he won't decide his future until the summer, but it's looking less likely. Like he'll be back next year, and boy, what an and we talk about ends of eras. I mean, this is going to hit like a sledgehammer when that news comes down.
Yeah, it's this is the final of today here to keep an eye on it. Apparently, is the final. This is the final game. Could be the final game that Crosby and Ovechkin go head to head. And I don't know if Crosby's playing it. I just saw something on social media. Anyway, I'll find that. But end of a kind of a dynamic riot. One of the best individual rivalries in NHL history. Especially with the amount of time that they played, the playoff series that they had, the fact that both of them had to go through each other to win a Stanley Cup. Yeah, I think certainly this is going to be very significant. So, and I think let's just step aside from Ovechkin's politics. I think that he was by far one of the most popular players to ever play the game, and one of the greatest goal scorer of all time. Based on stats. So, it's going to be sad. One other thing I just want you to kind of have people keep an eye on, and is for those that are following the WHL, next season, they are going to extend the season a week, according to Elliot Friedman on headlines. They're not going to extend the season in terms of games, but they're going to extend the season a week, and they are going to allow air travel in some situations, especially when you're going from one end of the West to Manitoba, instead of they're going to allow air travel in some circumstances. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the WHL for that. They are probably dealing with a lot of egg on their face with Gavin McKenna leaving and going to the NCAA, and other players like Cole Reshny left and Christian Verhoff left. And I think this is an attempt to go on that. I don't know if that solves everything, but be interested to see next year how that helps the WHL, or if it helps.
Well, it's definitely one of the, we've talked about this, with the WHL being such a, from like Portland, Oregon, all the way to freaking Brandon, Manitoba. Like it's such a wide geographic area for a league, a junior league. They definitely need to look at that. I think this does help. I think egg on your face for that is, I think it's a little strong in terms of losing McKenna and all that, but I think it's just we're in such a weird transition time between with the NIL and NCAA allowing players that have played junior. All three junior leagues have lost players because of this. McKenna's just the highest profile player that has done it. So I think it's it should help, because I think that you are seeing players look at the NCAA as a route to have insane, especially if you go to some of the top programs, absolutely insane facilities for off ice, as well as an easier schedule to build up muscle, practice, learn how to be a bit better of a pro than just constantly traveling because of especially in the WHL, the geographical aspects.
Yeah.
They gotta keep up. It's just the evolution of the game at that level. Gotta do something to make it attractive still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and one more thing. Sorry, and then we'll go. Congratulations go out to former BCHL referee Ben Betker. He worked the Flames Avalanche game on Tuesday night. It made his debut. Tyler, did you, as a referee?
Yeah, I don't know how many examples there are of somebody coming straight through from junior to the NHL. There can't be that many. I haven't fact checked that, but what a giant leap forward for a referee. And I guess it's a comment on the BCHL and what they've been able to do with developing officials. And with it being an unsanctioned league, you basically have to be committed to just doing that league the way it's structured now. And maybe there'll be another success story down the road like that one.
Yeah. Good to see.
Yeah.
We like our refs. So speaking of that, we'll leave it here.
Right there. Yeah, there it is.
How do we follow you?
I am Bearded Canucks 03 on X.
I'm on X at T-Noble, TNOB.
Chris is Schneids. He will be back, SCHNEIDZ. Devin is mostly on Instagram, Devin Holmes-Smith. We're going to have to do a deep dive with him on the Toronto Maple Leafs collapse this year and all that happened there. I am KAV Ollie on all social medias. You can follow us, facebook.com Shifts and Pucks, youtube.com Shifts and Pucks. You can subscribe wherever you get your audio. As I said, I'm working on getting everything that was missed back. But thank you for everyone for your patience. Love you all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And we will talk to you all very soon. Bye for now.